So let's solve this GATE question. It's a very interesting question. This question came in GATE 2003. Okay, just I did it out for you. A uniprocessor computer has two processes. A uniprocessor computer has two processes. It means what? Only one CPU is there, and there are only two processes. Both alternates 10 millisecond CPU burst with 90 milliseconds IO burst. It's a very important line to understand. Okay, there are two processes. Okay, and both will alternate with 10 millisecond of CPU burst with 90 millisecond of IO burst. Okay, both processes were created at the same time. Just it means what? The arrival time of both the processes are same. Here it's not given anything, so we will consider 0 as the arrival time of both the processes. IO of both proceeds parallel. Okay, the IO operations of both the processes can be overlapped. Which of the following will lead to least CPU utilization? Here some CPU scheduling algorithms are given, and they are asking which CPU scheduling algorithm will lead to the least CPU utilization. Okay. Yes. And here the options are FCFS, first come first serve, static priority scheduling with different priorities for two processes, shortest remaining time first, and round robin algorithm with time quantum 5 seconds. It means what? We have to select one option. Okay. Just wait. Okay. So here we will solve. So you see what they mean to say in the question, that there are two processes, process P1 and process P2. Both arrived at the same time. Okay. Both created nearly same time means what? Both arrived at the same time. And you see, both will execute their CPU burst first. Their CPU and the CPU burst of both are 10 milliseconds. And after that, they will execute their IO. IO is of 90 milliseconds. Okay. So it will happen alternately. So just see here what will happen. You see two processes are there. We consider it as process P1 and process P2. Now let's draw the Gantt chart. So we are we will solve this for each and every option, and after that we will find out which strategy will lead to the lowest CPU utilization time. So I am solving first option A, FCFS algorithm. There we will see what is the CPU utilization percentage. Okay. So I am solving for option A, FCFS. Okay. So you just see here I draw the Gantt chart. Okay. So you see at 0 second, both the processes have arrived. Okay. So, since we are using FCFS algorithm and since all the processes have arrived at the same time, so what FCFS will do? It will give the CPU to the process with lower process ID. It means what? Here we assume that CPU is given to process P1 first. Okay. So here CPU is given to process P1. So process P1 will first execute its CPU for 10 seconds. So from 0 to 10, process P1 executed its CPU time. Okay. So now process process P1 has successfully completed its CPU. Now it will block. It means what? Now it will request for IO. And the IO time is 90 seconds. It means what? From 10 seconds to 100 seconds. 10 plus 90, 100. It's a IO time of process P1. Okay. It's a IO time of process P1. So by this time, the CPU should be idle But no, by this time the CPU is free because process P1 is not utilizing the CPU. So now CPU will be given to process P2 at this time. Okay, so here I will write process P2. Fine. So process P2 will also run for 10 seconds because CPU time of process P2 is 10. So it will be 10 plus 10, 20. Okay. And after the completion of process, after the completion of the CPU by process P2 will request for IO. It means what? Process P2 will move to the block state. So here from 20 second to 20 plus 90, 110 to 110 process. It's a IO time of process P2. Okay. So here I will write IO of P2. Okay. And you see here, yes, and you see here, since process P1's IO is finished at this point, so again CPU will be given to process P1. Here you see in the question, it's already written that both alternates 10 millisecond CPU burst with 90 milliseconds IO burst. Okay, so here 90 millisecond of IO burst of process P1 has completed. Now again CPU will be given to process P1. So here I will write process P1 again. So these things will happen alternately, process P1, P2, P1, P2, P1, P2 like this. Okay, so here again CPU will be given to process P1. So its CPU time is 10 seconds. Okay, and after that, when at 110 second, you see the IO time of process P2 is finished. Now CPU can be given to process P2 here from 110 to 120 seconds. And here you see at 110 second, when the CPU time of process P1 got finished, so CPU will again move to the block state. Okay, so in this way everything will happen in alternate manner. P1, P2, P1, P2, again after some time P1, P2. Okay, so you see, let's calculate the CPU idle time. Okay, so now you see, here I will consider the total time. It means what? The time at which the process P1 and process P2 finish its IO. Okay, so here you see the process P1 finished its IO at 100 second and process P2 finished its IO at 110 second. So I mean to say that here no need to write these things. It's not necessary. Here I mean to say that at 110 second, at 110 second, within these 110 seconds, process P1 executed its CPU, process P1 executed its IO, process P2 executed its CPU, process P2 executed its IO. Okay, that's why I am considering up to 110 seconds. Okay, we will calculate the, so now you have understood this Gantt chart. So now we will calculate the CPU utilization. So within these 110 seconds, what's the CPU utilization time? You see 10 seconds, 10 seconds and 10 seconds. Okay, so within these 110 seconds, CPU utilized for 10, 10 and 10, 30 milliseconds. Within 110 milliseconds, CPU utilized for 30 milliseconds. So what is the percentage of CPU utilization? It's 300 by 11. Okay. Yes. So it's almost 22, 8, 77. It's 27.2%, I guess. So for FCFS scheduling algorithm, CPU is getting utilized for 27.2%. Okay, so let's write here 27.2%. for FCFS algorithm. So now you see, now I calculate for SRTF algorithm. Okay, what's the CPU utilization of SRTF algorithm? But does it really need to calculate the CPU utilization for SRTF algorithm? No, not at all. Because you see here the CPU time of both the processes are same. IO time of both the processes are same. Arrival time are same. It means what? Here how you will apply SRTF algorithm. SRTF algorithm means what? The process which have shorter burst time will be selected first. But here the burst times are equal. So it means what? Here no need to apply SRTF algorithm, because here SRTF algorithm is simply equal to FCFS algorithm. Okay. So it means what? For SRTF algorithm also it's 27.2%. Okay. And you see option B, static priority scheduling with different priorities of two processes. So I don't know why they have written static. It could have priority scheduling with different priorities of two processes, but I don't know what was there in their mind. But okay, let's solve it. So here you see priority scheduling algorithm with different priorities for two processes. It means what? You see here there are two processes. You just assign priority with yourself. Maybe this process have higher priority of 1, this process have lower priority of 2. Okay, it means what? Process P1 has higher priority, so process P1 will start first. Okay, it means what? The same thing degenerates to FCFS algorithm. Here you see, if process P1 has higher priority, so process P1 started first. Since process P2 has lower priority, it means what? After process P1, then P2 started. So it's same as FCFS algorithm. So here also the percentage CPU utilization percentage is 27.2%. Okay. Now let's solve for RR algorithm, round robin algorithm. Okay. So I am roughing this. Okay. So you see a time quantum given is 5 milliseconds. So I am solving option D. Time quantum is 5 milliseconds. Fine. Okay. So let's draw the Gantt chart. So be careful. Here I am using a round robin algorithm. But you don't have to worry too much because there are only two processes. So now you see both the process arrived at the same time. So I consider CPU is given to P1 first. So here P1 is given the CPU. Okay. So from 0 second till 10 second till 5 seconds, P1. Okay. At 0 second, both P1 and P2 arrived. Okay. At 0 second. So now CPU is given to process P1 first. So from 0 to 5 second, P1 executed till its time quantum. It means what? 5 seconds is left for P1. Because P1 has executed only 5 milliseconds. It means what? 10 minus 5 millisecond is left for P1. So here P1 will sit here. Okay. Now after that, okay, here it doesn't mean that here from here P1 will request for IO. No. Once after the execution of the CPU, once P1 completes its CPU, after that it can request the IO. Okay. Now you see here CPU is given to P2. So here I will write P2. P2 will execute for 5 seconds, 5 plus 5, 10. So I will cut P2 and I will write P2 here. Okay. Now 5 seconds is left for P2. Okay. Now again here CPU is given to P1. So here I will write P1. And time quantum is 5 seconds. So P1 will run for 5 seconds. It means what? 10 plus 5, 15. And since CPU time was also left as 5 seconds, so here it will be 0. So here I will remove P1. P1 is done. Okay. And after finishing its CPU burst, now P1 will go to the block state. It will wait for it will request for the IO. So here you see from 15 seconds. So IO time is 19 seconds. So 15 plus 90 means what? 105. So till here 105. It's a time for IO operation of P1. Okay. So now just see here. At 15 seconds again, CPU will be given to P2 and P2 will run for 5 milliseconds, sorry. So here now 0 seconds of CPU is left for process P2. So it means what? Process P2 has completed its CPU at this time. So after that, from 20 seconds, 20 plus 90, it means what? 20 plus 90, 110. From 20 seconds till 110 seconds, it's a IO time of process P2. Okay. And now you see at this time at 105 seconds, since P1 has finished its finished its IO, so CPU will be given back to P1 again. So here I will write P1. Okay. And and one thing you can see that by the end of the 110 seconds, both these processes have successfully completed its CPU and IO. You see, at 105th second, by the end of 105th second, process P1 finished its CPU as well as IO, and by the end of 110th second, process P2 finished its CPU as well as IO. So here I will consider up to 110 seconds, because here by the end of the 110 seconds, all the process are done. Okay. So now let's calculate the CPU utilization time. So you see, within these 110 seconds, what percentage of time did CPU has utilized? You see, from here to here it's 20, then 105 to 110, 5. It means what? 20 plus 110 minus 105. I guess it's 25 by 110. 25 by 110 into 100. Okay. So you just calculate it. It's 250 by 11. I guess it's just find out. You do your own calculation. 11 2s are 22. 3. Again 11 2s are 22. It's 22.7%. Okay. So now you see in the question they have asked to which process, which of the following will lead to the least CPU utilization time. So you see FCFS, priority and SRTF has the CPU utilization percentage of 27.2, whereas round robin has the CPU utilization percentage of 22.7. It means what? D is the answer, because here we can see there is a least CPU utilization. So option D is correct. Okay. I hope you got it. Thank you.